Hello again, welcome back to the channel. This is a video of the final version of the Dual-Wield ranged acid damage deceiver. What I've done is streamlined the skills by removing Bloody Pox altogether. Don't use that anymore. Curse of Frailty has had a few more points put into it, and the devotions that were bound to Curse of Frailty and Bloody Pox I've attached to those two Inquisitor damage skills. I've also put more points into them because those points are not wasted due to the damage conversion where 100% of elemental damage is converted to acid. So any damage dealt that is fire, cold or lightning, although it's still the visual appearance of it on the screen is fire, cold and lightning, they're all acid damage now. Just a quick reminder of how that works. The guns and the amulet all provide, well, each of them provides 45% elemental to acid damage conversion. So you just use two and get 90%. I'm dual wielding, so I've got to put up with the fact that I'm doing more than 100% damage conversion. It doesn't make any difference. It doesn't increase the amount of damage. It just means you get 100% fire, cold and lightning converted to acid. And that's all on Blood of Dreeg. So while Blood of Dreeg is up, that will happen. If Blood of Dreeg wasn't up, that wouldn't be happening. But Blood of Dreeg is pretty much up all the time. It's got a 70-second uptime on it now. That again is from items that increase it from 30-second default to 70 seconds. Right now I'm just demonstrating running around in the outside world, killing various groups, mini-bosses, and in a minute there will be some boss fights just to show how this build compares against things like Guardian of Bismayl, Logori and Bloodlord Fallon, and then I'll give a breakdown of the items used and how they all buff Blood of Dreeg and how that makes this build as strong as it is. First boss fight here, Guardian of Bismayl. This is the third boss you fight when you do the Hidden Path quest. This is the same area where you can access the secret room where Reshalga the Madqueen is. I do fight that, but I got the actual footage of it a little bit later on. It's okay. It's not. It's one of those things. It's like the Dreeg boss, the first one you fight in the Hidden Path quest. It deals acid damage and it's resistant to acid. So although it's not necessarily more dangerous to the character, it means that if it's resistant to your primary damage type, it's going to take you longer to kill it. So you've got to have a slightly different tactic. The Pyromancer versus Reshalga was pretty much just stand there and shoot it for 7 seconds and Reshalga dies. This one I have to kite her around and be careful not to get hit too hard with the vitality damage that she does. What you can see here, because of the additional elemental resistance provided by the Inquisitor Seal, I don't really care too much about enemies that do elemental damage. Here's a good demonstration of how a boss with acid damage and acid resistance takes longer to kill than if, for example, I was dealing elemental damage or chaos damage. And as a comparison to that last fight, here's Bloodlord Fallon. Is a chaos enemy, deals chaos damage, is chaos resistant. I'm hitting him with acid damage, so he doesn't last very long. Same thing here with the Logorian fight. He's a chaos boss and I'm dealing acid damage. 26 seconds, I think that's pretty good. And if you look at the health, well, my health bar, I don't take a heck of a lot of damage even when all these goons crowd around me. So that's showing what the build can do. Now we'll have a look at Blood of Dreeg and we'll have a look at the Monster Infrequent items and all the different buffs they add into Blood of Dreeg and how they work well together. Looking at Blood of Dreeg first, I've listed what I consider to be the most important buffs from item skill modifiers. If I had to pick the top three, it's obviously the elemental to acid damage conversion, the increase of the duration, just because I'm forgetful and I forget to keep refreshing Blood of Dreeg, and that 360 health per second regen. In my opinion, and that's important for anyone who's going to comment on this video, for an acid damage character that's relying heavily on Blood of Dreeg, I'd say this amulet is the best item you can get for that slot. If you want to play a caster and ditch one of the guns, with this amulet you're still going to have 90% elemental to acid conversion. As far as best in slot items go, the medal's nowhere near as good as the amulet for that slot, but I've hung on to this one because apart from the buffs to Blood of Dreeg, it did roll with some really good resistances. You might find something better. You don't necessarily have to use the Basilisk mark, but it is good for this build. The gun is the main reason I did this build. I kept seeing them drop while I was running through Ugdenbog on other characters. When you look at the stats on there, it's obvious they almost totally remove the lack of synergies between Occultist and Inquisitor, because of what they do to range expertise, what they do to Blood of Dreeg, specifically the acid to damage conversion. I just had to do this build. The mythical Widow's Sting rings are not essential, but if you've got the blueprint, make 2 of them, use them, you won't regret it. Because all you've got to do is look at the stats and the fact that they buff range expertise, Blood of Dreeg, and they do a whole bunch of acid damage. What more do you want? I've just got a couple more fights to show you. The first one is versus the Sentinel, which is the final boss in the Hidden Path quest. He's quite tough. I've had real problems with him on other characters. This character also has slight problems in that I think I come close to dying once. But overall, it's not bad. It's a pretty good face tank. I didn't kite him. If I'd kited him, it probably would have gone a lot better. It just would have taken a lot longer. The last thing I want to show you is the Rashalga Madqueen fight I mentioned at the start of the video. This is the last third of it. I messed up when I first went in there. I thought I mistakenly tried to face tank her and it didn't go well. I lost a lot of health, panicked, ran out of the room, waited, figured out was it worth the risk of kiting her, decided yeah, it probably was. So I went back in. That's why she'd returned to that spawn point in the middle of the room. Now, what I'm doing here is kiting her around, hitting her, running away, and when she hits me, the Blood of Ugol devotion procs those black pools of glop on the floor. If you look on the tooltip for that proc from that devotion, it says it deals acid damage and cold damage, but because of the elemental conversion on this character when Blood of Dreeg is up, that cold damage is converted 100% to acid damage. So those pools on the floor are dealing 100% acid damage. She's got a good level of acid resistance, so she's not taking a lot of damage from those black pools, but it's enough to help. And what's happening is I'm running round and round and round like a scared child, hitting her and waiting for her to die, which is a good tactic, because if you try and face tank her with a character like this, it's going to take ages to kill her. You run a good chance of getting killed. The Pyromancer ranged character I had can take her down in under 7 seconds. I think it depends on the mutators in the room, but taking her down in under 7 seconds is good, because by the time she's realised she's being attacked, she's dead. Whereas on this character I have to have a different tactic. And that's it. I don't have any plans to further refine this build, apart from if I get slightly better drops of any of the Monster Infrequents. I thoroughly recommend it as a ranged build if you're into ranged builds, or even if you just want to try one. Check out the Grim Tools link in the description, and if you go with this build, good luck and have fun with it, and thanks for watching the video.